Vladimir Ashkenazy and Catherine Hewgill shed some light. Classical Catherine Hewgill, Vladimir Ashkenazy from Darkness to Light. Decca, Sydney Symphony Orchestra. Principal cellist Catherine Hewgill and chief conductor Vladimir Ashkenazy presumably know each other well musically, having shared scores of SSO concerts over the years. But this is the first chamber collaboration, with Ashkenazy on piano, where he has been among the foremost luminaries of his generation. The program, chosen by Ashkenazy, is 3 Russian works, sonatas by Prokofiev and Shostakovich and Rachmaninoff's vocalize arranged for cello. Entering the ARIA charts at number 1, the album ideally demonstrates Hewgill's mastery of her instrument and the music. She is full-toned and rich in the Prokofiev, whose only cello sonata is much less sardonic than the composer's usual style. On his best behavior after running into political trouble, the notes suggest. It was written for the great Mstislav Rostropovich, who taught Hewgill. The Shostakovich sonata is an early work, but his musical personality is already formed and the reading admirably matches his restrained irony and ambiguity. Finally, Hewgill is lyrical and lush in the romantic Rachmaninoff. Ashkenazy is utterly at home in this repertoire, and the pair have a natural understanding. Barney ZWARTZ Jazz Polymorphic Orchestra Confluence Bamboozle Music. The first vibraphone notes tinkle like wind chimes in the lightest summer breeze, while the shaker mimics an insect. Soon enough other sounds, breath through a trumpet, swelling cymbals, electronics, a chattering snare, darken the mood. A groove emerges that only amplifies the sense of portentousness, because with the polymorphic orchestra a groove is just a pathway into a mood or a soundscape. And once inside those worlds one encounters impossibly lonely, desolate solos from Lee McIver's trumpet to flugelhorn, solos that may give way to Ed Goyer's vibes, still sounding as though the melodies emerge from some act of nature rather than via a human. Meanwhile, Ed Rodriguez, like the other two, often uses silence as a default, and so when the drums do enter they are often barely engraving that silence. The first improvisation, Stream, lasts for 41 minutes, alternating between a tranquil stasis and a momentum that, while it partially rides on rhythm, is more about evolving moods and textures than shifting harmonies. The collective instinct for balancing density and space is uncanny, as is shown again in the second piece, Flow. John Chandrock, Roots Neale Young. We're reminded of these two facts straight up via the first 2 lines of his new studio album, laying bare a statement of intent. Young is only a visitor to America, but he's come to love it and all it stands for. As the album unfurls though, and as you'd expect, he realizes that not all is well these days. Where the visitor differs to past work, however, is that it isn't a protest record, it's more one of hope, the underlying message being that we, the people, can restore this once proud nation to its former glory. Backed once again by the excellent promise of the real, fronted by Lucas Nelson, son of Willie, the visitor presents some choice cuts, like the Crazy Horse-esque and bluesy opener Diggin' a Hole and the groovy, stripped-back, guitar-led Stand Tall. Then there are some odd inclusions, like the almost national anthem-like pomp of Children of Destiny. This discordance is the album's Achilles heel, but by persevering, by really listening, one can overcome it. Which is, of course, what Young wants you to do. Samuel J. Fel African Toto Bona Loku Bondeko. No format. Central African music is arguably best known for stunning vocal harmonies, and Bondeko, a word in the Lingala language meaning the sense of being family with someone who isn't a blood relative, feels like a celebration of harmony on multiple levels. The second collaboration by all-star trio Gerald Toto, Martinique, France, Richard Bona, Cameroon, and Loku Akanza, Democratic Republic of Congo. This intricate and layered album features sparse instrumentation that consists of guitars, bass and percussion, allowing the complex singing to truly shine. It's a meticulously crafted work that still manages to have a sense of fun and spontaneity, remaining completely free of ego and ostentatiousness throughout. Highlights include the touching, exuberant and affectionate bear hug of a song Ma Mama, which opens the set, the bluesy, West African-tinged Uwa, the heart-rending Ngumnyko, and the tender, uplifting Maa Kayana. The album evokes the moods and landscapes of the Congo River region, while sounding entirely contemporary, with influences that include Al Jarreau, Bobby McFerrin, Cassandra Wilson, Crosby, Stills. If too subtle and intimate for background music, Bondeko will certainly reward repeated listening. Eugene Ulman indie rock Jeremy Neale getting the team back together. Remote Control. Brisbane has long traced a genealogical line back to the work of Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, from Custard to the Go-Betweens. Jeremy Neale, who first made his mark with the 12-headed Hydra Velociraptor, is squarely in this local tradition. Getting the team back together is his first full-length solo album, 4 years after the EP in Stranger Times, and it reveals both his strengths and limitations. Like Richman, he's all innocence, in love with the AM radio sounds of the pre-Beatles era. Doug Ford, the master songwriter of both The Missing Links and Master's Apprentices, has compared Neale to Gene Pitney. But whereas Richman's vision was channeled through the droning power of the Velvet Underground, Neale's is filtered through the sheen of 80s pop, with video sounding like it could have been written by the Buggles. Trevor Horn. Neale's got a terrific ear for power pop hooks, such as on the obvious first single Small Talk, but the shiny surface and puppy dog demeanor does get a bit cloying. It would be stronger if he could break the mood with something as haunted and heartbroken as Richman's Hospital. Andrew Staffordfusin Plat Ensemble Chicken Chili Basil Elsenprice.bandcamp.com. One half energy and excitement can be paradoxical elements in music, in that musicians who play with too much vigor can stop their instruments vibrating and sounding to the full capacity, and excitable performances can result in music that is merely overwrought. Elson Price understands this, and is able to generate fizzing energy from the strings of his double bass, whether playing pizzicato or arco. This is energy that rushes from the speakers and instantly draws you into his musical narratives, compositions that exist outside of genre, in a world where jazz, classical and world elements converge, with a similar latitude existing in the improvising language. His Plat ensemble is completed by percussionist Adam Yilmaz, pianist Zella Margosian and guitarist Yutaro Okuda, players who share Price's love of maximizing the music's drama without pushing it into that realm of nervous excitement. Sometimes the ideas can feel slightly undercooked, but there is no denying the appeal of Price's bass playing, the richness of his sound, his flaring facility, the rhythmic and melodic sinuousness, and that energy. A standout is the evocation of delirium on pneumonia. John Shand.